This is week 1 of the diplomatic crisis map. However, from now on, it's going to be referred to as Diplo News, as per some of my friends. On Friday, there was a possible Russian intrusion into Finnish airspace. Involved countries have their names over their territories on the map. Finland is here, Russia is here, and then the red dot is the aircraft that was spotted. She is just south of Helsinki, the Finnish capital. And at the time, there was no plan for peace in Ukraine. But the United States would be the mediator, and this is the Russia-Ukraine war. Remember this later. And the United States is not on this map, but it is on this map. It is across the ocean. In the United States, USAID. There is some background information I have to give. USAID is the United States foreign aid development. It may be shut down, and it is actually unclear if it will actually be shut down as per the federal judge on this screen. Reason why is the federal judge, he blocked an order from Trump, the President of the United States, today. He blocked the order to fire basically everyone that works for USAID. And for tariffs, Trump has suspended low-value products from being tariffed because that is the main source of Chinese goods. And Trump says that it is to prevent fentanyl trafficking, although the mode is questionable, to say the least. And on the border, there are no updates other than the previous crackdowns are being enacted across the country. On Saturday, absolutely fucking nothing happened in Ukraine. Well, I would be lying if I said that because there's fighting, but basically no territorial changes happened. In Palestine, I'm gonna get some flack for that, Israel has withdrawn from its occupation over Gaza, but border regions are being occupied. It is not visible on the map since each pixel is about 1 kilometer wide. And hostages were being recovered at the time. As you may see later on in this video, that gets real wonky real quick. In Lebanon, absolutely fucking nothing happened, because there were peace negotiations happening. In Syria is finally withdrawing from the ports of Tartus and I forgot this city's name. But very important development, Syria has bombed Lebanon across the border, inciting a border war, although that border war is very brief. As I'm recording this on Thursday, that border war quickly ended after Lebanon deployed troops. On the United States, nothing fucking happened, other than crackdowns. In Ukraine, there were minor advances, not even visible on the map, in the Donbass. The Donbass is roughly right here. And the advances were here-ish. And in Palestine, it is unclear when Israel will withdraw from Syria, and fighting has continued on the border. And in Lebanon, as I previously mentioned, there was a skirmish. Well, this is a different one. There was a skirmish near the Israel-Lebanon border. It was right here, and this is the Syrian raid I mentioned. It's a red dot. In America, Immigration Customs Enforcement documents were leaked to the press, and they hated that. The ICE did. And as per these documents, there are probable mass sale rates in LA soonish. And possible U.S. annexation of Canada, this is to be taken with a grain of salt, because it was said by Trump, and you know how credible that he is. So, this is possible annexation. Also, on Monday, hostages were not being released by Hamas until Saturday. And there were clashes between Palestinian militants in the West Bank. And as per hostages not being released, Israel didn't like that. And they say that, and they said that if Hamas didn't release the hostages, they would invade again. Israel would invade Gaza again, and not good. And Israel will not withdraw from Lebanon yet. In Ukraine, there are no updates except for the United States doesn't want Ukraine in NATO. Wait, that's on Wednesday, actually. Let me get my... I messed up my notes. Oh yeah, in Ukraine there were no updates. And in America, immigration crackdowns continued, and one of them hit an Ohioan school. The school did not allow ICE to enter. On Tuesday, there is a potential withdrawal from Kursk if Russia returns to occupied territories, and this is still being negotiated today, on Thursday. In Syria, Israel will not withdraw from Syria. It will be building 6 military bases in Syria. And in Tartus, Syria refused to allow Russian artillery pieces to be placed in Tartus. The red dot is where this happened. And even then, if I got rid of the red dot, it would not be... the Russian occupation of Tartus would not be visible on the map, as it is less than a kilometer wide. In Palestine, the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, says that fighting will resume in Gaza if hostages aren't returned, as I previously mentioned. And the nation of Jordan, right here, a better view of the country here. It's a brown country. It promotes a two-state solution to the Palestine issue, because it is an Arabic nation, and Arabic nations tend to support the two-state solution. And unidentified soldiers have breached Israeli positions in Lebanon. There was a clash that happened here. The green dot is, that's where it happened. And in America, the defense secretary says that the United States does not plan to send troops into Ukraine. No more information on my notes. On a Wednesday, I remember reading about this. A Russian drone was shot down over Belarus by Belarusian anti-air pieces. And at the same time, peace talks were beginning. And Hamas is straight up refused to release the hostages, pissing off the Americans and pissing off the Israelis. But on better news, Israel will withdraw from Lebanon on the last day of this month, February 28th. And in Syria, the provisional government is to form a federal system across Syria because Syrian media says that the government needs to be able to represent the diversity in Syria, from the Kurds to the Syrians to the Assyrians, to be formed. And diplomatic talks were held between Russia and Syria on the same day. And these talks were regarding the Syrian-Russian agreements signed by the previous regime, al-Assad's regime. And the talks were about, do these agreements go into effect again? On Thursday, some breaking news. Oxfam has sued the Trump administration. I know about this because I'm affiliated with Oxfam. And you can read it right here. But in Ukraine, there's a high likelihood that the war's end is imminent, as Trump has said. Diplomatic talks are doing great. In Syria, in Yemen, I fucked up my notes. Al-Qaeda leader Ayub al-Lahi was killed in a U.S. airstrike. And in Syria, Turkey left all trade restrictions from Syria into Europe. That was a main issue before the new regime happened. In Palestine, Hamas has finally agreed to all terms of the ceasefire agreement, including the hostages being released and returned to the United States and Israel. And in America, along with the Oxfam suing the Trump administration, the United States is to enact more tariffs against its allies, surprisingly, and China. And a note about these tariffs: the price of Canadian goods have gone up. I'm going to use the North Face as an example. That's a jacket company. It rose from $60 to $200 for a fucking jacket. And these tariffs are probably going to rack that cost up even more, because they're directed against allies, enemies, namely Canada and China, as I mentioned before, that tariff the United States after it tariffed them. About those tariffs, U.S. tariffs, they were 10%, and they're probably going to rise even more, because the United States gave Canada, Mexico a deadline of 30 days after some day. I can't remember the date right now. But after those 3 days, the tariffs are to rise to 25%. Just so you know, the United States tariffed all aluminum and steel imports like a week ago, at 25%. So, assuming worst comes to worst, we could see 50% tariffs on aluminum, steel goods. Which, that would not be good. So, in response to those tariffs, Canada, Mexico, and Europe and China all respond with their own tariffs, and we have entered a trade war with them. And again, the United States has enacted more tariffs against the allies and enemies that tariff them back. But anyways, these are my sources. You can check them out. I'll put the links in the description. And you can read about them after. Editing and specs here. I have come to add on some information. For some reason, the United States is now calling Greenland Red, White, and Blue Land. Why? No fucking idea.